Story time. So this one we're gonna do while I make this Lunchable. It's unique. And it reminds me of this childlike phase of my life. It's gummies. This is a sad one. It's gonna be a little hard for me, so bear with me. So I went back to the drawing board, went back to music, and I got this bright idea. I should use dating apps to find people in the music industry to work with. It made a lot of sense in my mind. So I'm out there meeting people, and I get together with this one young DJ. And sure enough, of course, we eventually start dating. So I'm sure by now you're seeing the trend here. Didn't know how to be alone. Anywho, I start dating this much younger guy. Another trend. We start doing music together. Ta-da, pizza. So we start doing music together. It becomes a whole thing, our whole world. Relationship wasn't really a relationship. It was definitely a business partnership. Very platonic. We were that couple that would walk into a room. We could get everyone. Between he and I, we could get every single person in that room, their information, marketing stuff. They wanted to work with us. They wanted to know more about us. Investors taking us to lunch, which ended up being like a scam. I thought I was safe because I was like, I'm with a guy. No, they'll still screw you. He introduced me to his uncle. Uncle ended up just opening up this world of music to me that I knew nothing about. And at first he was like, what is this? Like, this girl cannot even sing. I practiced and I practiced and I practiced. And I finally proved myself to him, and he saw my tenacity. That is where I got my song Masterpiece. Later on did my song Mary Magdalene. We were on our grind, doing our music, this and that. Then it started to get a little messy. I eventually found out that originally he'd only really been interested in me because I was from Malibu and drove a Mercedes, and that he started cheating on me. When I found out, I called him out on it. We broke up. A while later, we ended up being friends and hanging out again. Then we got cast on MTV. Go on MTV, and the day before we go on MTV, I find out he was doing it again. While I was at work, he was taking my car. Anyways, it gets worse. MTV was a horrible experience. It was really, really difficult for me. I just felt like I had no one. I've never felt so alone in my entire life. The only thing that I had with me was my Bible. But it also was a wake-up call for me. I realized that the way that I was allowing him to treat me, I couldn't do that publicly. I couldn't do that in front of all these little girls watching me and be okay with that. I realized if I don't want girls, young girls doing this, why would I be okay with me doing it? So I woke up, and after that show, we cut communication. Fast forward, like a lot, the stories that are to come are abusive of nature. He was there for me. He was there for me when it got dark. He was that person I could call. After I went through healing and closure, ended up cutting him off again. He wanted to get lunch. I wouldn't do it. And then he ended up dying. How do you process something like that? How do you process losing someone you once loved, losing someone you once dated, and especially the guilt of, why didn't I get lunch with him? I had one of his friends literally tell me that if I had been dating him, he wouldn't have died. I can't tell you the weight that was on my heart when I heard those words. And going through that and processing that, it was just hard. But I can tell you that I was so nervous to see his mom again at the funeral. I was so nervous. I was so scared that she'd be angry at me. She opened her arms and welcomed me in and was just so loving towards me and had expressed that she always cared about me. And it was so healing for me. So I don't know who else has gone through losses like that. And I hope that no one ever does have to go through something like that. But you have to remember, it's not your fault. Thank you for listening. This one was tough.